I'd like to welcome you to the comforts of my own bedroom as we watch this final game of the Brown season. Joining this broadcast a little late as we have the Saints versus the Titans to round out the regular season here on this first Saturday of March. Currently, if you cannot see the scoreboard with 4:19 to go, it is 13-4 in favor of the Titans. Again, only have suffered one loss this season, as now the Saints look to get some points on the board. And this is going to be more kind of like a commentative description of the current scenarios. There's a three cause Mickey, and that one is off the iron no good and brought back up by the Titans very quickly. And going to get it back out. And that three is good to extend their lead to 12. I'm going to pull up the current playoff scenarios. Will be here for both the men and the women. So as we watch this game, I will give you the current look of where everything stands for the NWAC tournament in both the men's and the women's region. So that will be coming up in just a second. So as the Titans bring the ball over, they lead the Saints once again 16-4 with just about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. And unfortunately, I could not be down in Eugene with them, but watching them here in the comforts of my own house is just as good. So we hope that you are tuning in as well. And you can also find it on the Lane Titans athletics page as well, is where they are live streaming this as well. There is commentary on the Lane Titans stream, but I am just kind of providing you guys with the Saints perspective of where they stand in the playoffs. Nice pass to the inside, and ball goes out of bounds. So, taking a quick look at the tournament standings as it looks on the women's side. Starting in the northern region, Peninsula has clinched that region with a record of 20-4, 12-2 within the conference. Uh, that is followed by Shoreline, Saget Valley, and Bellevue, who have all clinched in that region as well. In the east, you have Columbia Basin, who has clinched the South with a final record, or not a final record, but a current record of 20-5. Again, multiple games going on today. That is followed by Walla Walla, North Idaho, and Wenatchee Valley, and a lot of good schools, good records in that region. So, Saints desperately need a win here against the Titans in order to have a hope at a playoff berth next week. Moving along to the West region, you have Green River, who has clinched that region as well. And that is followed by South Puget Sound and Lower Columbia, who have both clinched spots in their region. And finally, in the South, which is our conference here, nobody has clinched the region quite yet, but um, Lane will clinch the region if they beat Mount Hood today. They are currently sitting at 27-1, 14-1 in conference play. Again, that only loss for Lane coming to Clackamas just a few weeks ago. And Clackamas is right behind him at second, just a game back of conference play, followed by Umpqua and Lynn Benton. And Mount Hood sits at 4-11 in conference play, 9-16 overall. So looking at the current tournament positions right now, you already have 4 in the north that have clinched playoff spots. You have 4 in the east that have clinched playoff spots. You have 3 in the west, and then you also have 4 in the south. So for Mount Hood, in order to try to get a postseason berth, they would need a lot of help within the conference and different regions of the NWAC. And currently looking at scores that might be helping them out. Um, Taking in a hypothetical that if they lose this game to Lane, they would drop to 4-12 in conference play, 9-17 overall, and PCC is just right back with them as well. They are currently with the same records, and as we look at PCC, currently they are leading Southwest Oregon 6-3 with 4.5 minutes remaining in their game. So taking a look at the other regions of the NWAC conference, uh, starting with the North, teams that have not clinched the playoffs yet include Big Bend, Yakima Valley, Spokane, Blue Mountain, and Treasure Valley. And what would help is the big ones going down with Big Bend, currently sitting at 9-7. So looks like they might be clinching a playoff spot as they stand more than a game ahead of Mount Hood. The Saints, with a loss and even with a win, no matter win or lose this game, they're going to need a lot of help in the conference. And what didn't help was 2 major losses at home against Chemeketa and against this Lane team. And a lot of other home losses they had as well. They lost yesterday to Umpqua, and that was a loss that not necessarily hurt them because they were already in kind of a painful situation. So they're going to need a lot of help as the second quarter begins here in Eugene. After 10 minutes of play, Mount Hood has only scored 4 points against the Lane Titans. Currently, the score 20-4 after the first quarter. So another 2-pointer there for the Titans puts them up 22-4, leads by 18 half a minute into the second quarter as there's a contested shot, but it wouldn't go. So with 9:26 remaining in the first half, currently 22-4 in favor of Lane. Taking a look. So you have 4 teams in the north, 4 teams in the east, 3 in the west, and 4 in the south, meaning that 15 of 16 teams in the women's side have already clinched a playoff berth. So it does not look good for the Saints, only having one more playoff spot available. And with everyone else's record, they would need Clark to lose starting with that one because Clark sits a game ahead of them. And Clark currently is losing against the Umpqua Riverhawks 27-18 as that game gets into the second quarter. So that will put them just behind Lynn Benton if they somehow find a way to win this game against Lane. But looking at the other standings in different regions, it does not look good that the Saints can try to make a postseason run. They really got to get something going here against the Titans, who have already, clinched their conference or playoff berth. They have not clinched the conference yet. So a lot of help that the Saints need, and just a couple of games going on today, most of them in the South region, including Clark and Umpqua, Mount Hood and Lane, Southwest Oregon, and PCC, and Chemeketa and Clackamas. Clackamas currently leading that game 20-12 with 56 seconds to go. So looking at the current tournament format, and we will see how the championship is to be set up. Looking at the bracket here for the women, it is the top 16 teams in the conference. It does have the north, south, west, and east logos. So the current playoff format right here looks like would put the third seed in the north against the second seed in the south. And the winner of that would play the winner of the number 1 seed in the west and the number 4 seed in the east. And that is followed by the number 2 team in the north versus the number 3 seed in the south. And then that is going to be playing the winner of the number 1 team in the east against the number 4 team in the west. So how it looks right now, the third seed in the north and the second seed in the south, that would be Saget Valley against Clackamas. So that'd be a very interesting matchup of note. And looking at another matchup here, the number 1 in the west against the number 4 in the east, which would put Green River against Wenatchee Valley in that second matchup. And then you have the second team in the north versus the third team in the south. And that would be Shoreline against Umpqua. And then finally, to round it out, you have the number 1 team in the east versus the number 4 team in the west. So that would be Columbia Basin versus Highline, assuming that everything works out in that way. So with 6.5 minutes to go here In this one between Lane and Mount Hood, it is going to be Lane in front 26-10. So Mount Hood only down by 16. They can try to make a run here as a three-pointer from the right side. Off no good, rebounded by the Saints, and they will bring it up now. Here is Kennard. And Kennard inside gets fat. No, she does not. It was not a foul. So here come the Titans once again inside. There's the foul. And it is Titans ball. So there is a little bit of commentary, as you know, I'm trying to bring you as much as possible, but once again, just looking at the current standings of where the playoffs would be, does not look like Mount Hood has potential to get in if that is the current format, because they already have the 4 teams in the South that have clinched a playoff spot. There could be a potential maybe for a wild card, but we will have to check on that as well, because again, I'm not quite certain if anything's out of the question. So we'll have to check with the officials of the NWAC once all the women's games come to a close. We can take a look at the playoff matches as we now take a look at the right side of the bracket. And that is going to be the number 3 seed in the West against the number 2 seed in the East. And that would put Lower Columbia against Walla Walla. And then you have the number 1 team in the North versus the number 4 team in the South. That would put Peninsula up against Lynn Benton. And then you have the number 3 team in the East versus the number 2 team in the West. And that would be North Idaho taking on South Puget Sound. And then the final matchup to round out the bracket is the number 1 seed in the South versus the number 4 team in the North. And that would put Bellevue against Lane. So the Lane Titans can hold on and win this game. They will likely clinch the South region of the NWAC conference, and they will go on to likely play against the Bellevue Bulldogs in the first round of the playoffs, which would be held once again at Columbia Basin College in Pasco. And that will start on Thursday, March 9th. And that would be an 8 o'clock tip. That is the 8th game of the postseason. The games start at noon, and they are every 2 hours. The tournament for the women starts on Wednesday. So that left side of the bracket I read earlier takes place on Wednesday, March 8th. And that right side of the bracket that I just read, that is going to take place on Thursday, March 9th, as well as round 2 of the left side of the bracket. And once we have the bracket filled out, we will, of course, let you know the matchups and what the potential is for a postseason berth for either Mount Hood and definitely Lane, because they lead the conference, the north or the south side, as they still lead Mount Hood 28-10 with 4 minutes remaining here in quarter number 2. With the Mount Hood men, it is a little different because they have got on a little hot streak. As we'll have that for you during the men's game, but just taking a quick look here at the standings, Mount Hood still very much in the race for a postseason berth. They sit at number 4 right now after beating Umpqua yesterday. Big win against the Riverhawks. They will need Southwest Oregon to lose against PCC to really help them. But even if that doesn't happen, if they win their game against Lane today, they still have a very good chance to make the postseason. Basically, kind of a win and in situation for the Saints on the men's side. So we'll hope that they can get it done here against Lane. If Mount Hood loses the game today, they will need Umpqua to lose in order to still maintain that fourth spot. And Umpqua once again will be taking on, as we look at the schedule here for today, the Umpqua Riverhawks are hosting the Clark Penguins. So they will need Umpqua to lose that game against Clark if Mount Hood ends up losing against Lane here today in the men's game. But right now we are focused on the women's side. So Saints still find themselves down by 17 with just about 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first half. As here come the Titans. There's a 2. That one no good. And now it's going to be fought for. It's a jump ball, and possession will favor the Titans. So now the inbound pass gets it to the top of the circle. Now here's a floater for 2. It's an air ball rebounded by Hoyleman as she brings it up now for the Saints. And now I will do a little bit of live broadcasting here to end the second half to fill time as she gets it over to Johnson on that right side. Now gets it back out. Patterson now gets it over to, I believe that is, I can't tell who that is, the number. Back out Patterson now. Moving to the inside is Meek. She puts up the shot, but she is fouled. And we'll try to get some free throws on the board for the Saints. Down 28-11 with 2:38 remaining. Misses the first. Or that is Knutson, actually. I'm sorry. It's a little difficult to read the numbers. As an offensive rebound, Hoyleman gets back over to Meek, who moves to the inside, gets it back out to Hoyleman, who mishandled the pass for a second, but now gets it back. Here's Johnson. Johnson on the right. Gets it across now to Lewis. Moves to the inside. Lewis puts it up. Puts it in. Nice finish there from Lewis to get the Saints back to within 15 with 2:12 remaining. So here come the Titans once again. And we will quickly pull up their roster so I can mention what players they have. As that is a 3. It's no good. Tipped. And here come the Saints once again. Under 2 minutes remaining here in the first half. Knutson over to Johnson. Johnson for 3. It's good. I'm sorry, that's Hoyleman. Hoyleman makes the 3. And Mount Hood back to within a dozen as Coach Brown now just walking up and down the sideline. And now possession goes out of play. Possession back to Lane. So 98 seconds to go here, first half. As the inbound pass will come to the back court. It's poke checked away, but Lane's still able to get it as we got a whistle on the floor. And it will be Mount Hood basketball. Hoyleman gets it in as she gets it over to Lewis, back over Johnson, back to Lewis. Or, I'm sorry, that's Kennard, I believe. Gets it back out. Hoyleman going to take a 3 off the iron, no, and rebounded by the Titans with 1:13 remaining. Contested, gets it back out now, and that is going to be Hamill. Brings it up, takes the 3 and hits it. So the 3 there is hit by Dahlin, and it puts the Titans back up by 15, 31-16, under a minute to go here, first half. Hoyleman gets it back over now to Knutson, who moves over to that left side, gets it back to Now Hoyleman back. Gets it over to Johnson. Johnson out. Here's Kennard, a 3. No good. And now here come the Titans. Bring it up right to left as the pass there gets to the right side. Now here's a 3, top of the key, and that one is hit by Hamill. So the Titans just pouring it on the Saints here in the first half with 20 seconds remaining. The clock winding down as Kennard now backs up and gets to the logo. 12 seconds remaining. Tries to finish the first half, gets it to Hoyleman, now lost it, and now a whistle is going to give possession, I believe, to the Saints, as it'll be free throws for Hoyleman. As now we have some substitutions. Looks like McCray is back into the game with 8 seconds to go in the opening half. And Hoyleman puts down the first free throw. So it's a 34-17 game, still half as many points the Saints have compared to the Titans. And here they come now with 3 seconds and 2. Lost the ball out of play. That one's going to get tipped, and that's just going to do it for the first half, with the Lane Titans leading the Mount Hood Saints 34-17 after the first 20 minutes. A 15-minute break, and we'll be back with the second half with more on the postseason chances and more scoreboard watching when we return. So coming back here in the second half, a timeout on the floor with just under 7 minutes remaining in the third, and Lane out to a 48-22 lead. Have more than doubled the score of Mount Hood, but a couple of big threes made by both teams to start the third quarter. As I was listening in on the Lane broadcast, they pointed out that uh, player for the Titans has made 3 straight threes, and that's a Sierra Shepley for Lane, who has made 3 consecutive threes, but as well as Johnson and Patterson for Mount Hood that have also been able to put down those shots. As now here come the Saints moving again from right to left as that one tipped out of play. Possession back to Mount Hood as it was tipped out of play by Coleman. And now it'll be Knutson to inbound it from the near on the left. And now she looks at Kennard and gets it into her. And Kennard moves over to that right side. Now gets it back, loses possession, and it's intercepted by the Titans, moving quickly now up the floor. Here's Coleman. Coleman gets it across. That one's out of play, and possession goes back to Mount Hood. So, I mean, once again, looking at the current scores of the games this afternoon, just looking at where we stand in terms of who all is going to make it into the postseason. Right now, the game between the Riverhawks and the Penguins currently has Umpqua ahead 59-38 with 6 minutes remaining in the third. Still halftime in Portland as the Panthers lead the Lakers 29-22. So that may turn out to be a very close game between those two teams. And once again, PCC just ahead of Mount Hood in the standings. And they beat Mount Hood on Monday in Gresham during a makeup game. So they would have that tiebreaker. As now here come the Titans. As across inside the lane, floater up from Ball. That one no good. And now a putback is good as Kosmicki now inbounds it and now gets it back. Looks like Meek is going to be coming back into the game for the Saints. Here is Hoyleman. Now gets it off to Johnson. Johnson moves inside and she is fouled. And she'll head to the line for free throws. With 5.5 minutes remaining and Mount Hood down 50-22. So she makes one free throw to make it a 27-point game. Inside now back to the corner. And now it was tripped. And the foul going to go there against the Saints. And it'll get possession back to the Titans. Correcting my mistake from earlier, Mount Hood is still actually a game ahead of PCC. They currently have the same current records. It's just that Mount Hood has more points for, which gives them that tiebreak over PCC. So if PCC ends up losing their game as well as Mount Hood, they would stay ahead of the Panthers. As for the Clark Penguins, if they end up losing against Umpqua, that is very beneficial to Mount Hood because that will back them up a game. But if Mount Hood again loses this game to Lane and they're down by their current score, they're down by 25 and they've only scored 25, then they do not have the chance to pass Clark for that fifth seed and maybe a potential chance at playing in a one-off qualification game. So that is where we stand right now. Those were the scores from the women's games around the league. Most of them already in the second half or just at halftime as we wind down on the 2023 NWAC women's basketball season. And one thing to remember for the Saints is that they swept Clark this season. So that will help them in the long run if Clark ends up losing and Mount Hood can find a way to win this game. But once again, the first four teams in the South region have already clinched a playoff spot, and that includes Lane, Clackamas, Umpqua, and Lynn Benton. Not quite certain on how the other playoff format is decided. So I think looking at it right now, especially with a 25-point deficit, the season for the women is unfortunately over for the Saints. It does not look good for them to, even if they win this game. I believe the four teams in the region have already clinched their playoff spot, and a big one too, as Mount Hood had dropped 6 consecutive games in the span of a month and a half in early February, late January, finally getting their first win on Super Sunday since that win against the Penguins on January 18th. They had lost 6 straight games since then until beating Southwest Oregon on the 12th and then winning the next game after that against Clark once again, but then they have not won since those 2 wins. They've gone on a 3-game and what looks to be now a 4-game losing streak as their unfortunate run comes to an end with just about 14 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in game time. The Titans just making threes left and right. They've hit 4 now, or at least now 5, I believe, in their last consecutive drives as we dip under a minute to go here in quarter number 3. Saints now find themselves down by 35 points, and now that one gets tipped away. And what a play to make the save on the breakaway. There's another bucket to put them up by 37. So just about 39 seconds to go and a timeout on the floor. And these Lane Titans look pretty good, and it's going to be interesting to see how far they get into the postseason. And what their first matchup is going to be in a couple of days. And that might be one worth watching, because seeing how this team has performed all season, considering they had not lost a game until that Clackamas one a few weeks ago, and they were averaging almost 100 points per game. They had scored over 100 points a couple of times in non-conference play at the beginning of the season, and then in conference play they put up 76 points against the Saints in Gresham, and they have just been winning dominantly in the games that they have won. So, little bit of a venture outside the region will make any game that they have in the postseason pretty intriguing, and one that is definitely going to be one to watch. So we will see who they get paired up against as we will get the final tallies. And hopefully during the men's game, we will have the bracket set for the women, as Mount Hood, unfortunately, will not be a part of that. But still getting to play one more game this season here against the Titans, as Kennard now makes both her free throws to make this a 35-point game, 66-31, with 29 seconds remaining in the third quarter. So as the third quarter clock winds down, it's Hoylman who holds it, as they will just try to hold for the final shot. And there's a foul on the floor, which is going to send Kosmicki to the line to try to pull the Saints a little bit closer before the final 10 minutes begin. So 68-31 in favor of the Titans. And Kosmicki's first free throw is good. So now this one on the way, no good. She got one of two. As now the Titans bring it back up. Wide open pass. Gets it inside. Puts it up off the glass. No. And the rebound goes to Kennard, who's going to fire up a shot. And that one won't go. And that will do it for quarter number 3. In the final 10 minutes to get underway, with Lane leading by 36. So as we get underway here in the fourth quarter, Lane leading Mount Hood 68-32 in the final game for the Saints, as they will look to try to make something happen here in the final 9.25 minutes. As they will bring it once again. Gets it back across now. Here's Lewis. Gets it to Kosmicki. Kosmicki backs. Floats up a 2. Can't put it in. Rebounded by the Titans. Here's a 3 from Patterson that puts it in. Nice 3 ball there from Michaela Patterson, and the Saints now going to be back to within 33 as there's a rebuttal 3 that's good from the Titans. Or I guess maybe Patterson's shot did not go in because they've not changed anything. Here's Kosmicki, dribbles it inside, gets it back out. Over now. Here is Lewis, dribbles inside, puts up the shot, can't put it in, rebounded by the Titans. As they bring it back now from left to right. Gets it back out over to the left corner. Now moves to the inside, gets it back out. And a whistle and a foul is going to be called. So with 7:52 to go in this one between the Titans and the Saints, we just want to put a little bit of a bow on the Saints season, as it'll be coming to a close here in just about 7 minutes and 40 seconds. They started the season with a bunch of road games, and just before they got into conference play, they had a record of 5-5. And then they began conference play in the new year. Lost their first 2, won their next 2, then lost their next 6, and then won 2 in a row, and now will have dropped 4 straight as they find themselves down 77-32 with just over 7 minutes remaining. Their non-conference wins include games against Grays Harbor, Multnomah, Blue Mountain, Grays Harbor again, and Spokane. Conference wins include Chemeketa and Clark, both on the road. And then they won at home against Southwest Oregon and again against Clark, getting the season sweep. The only team that the Saints swept this season, the Clark Penguins, both games in double overtime. Unfortunately, they did not win at all against Lynn Benton. Lost both of those. They did not win either game against PCC. They did not win either game against Umpqua. And by the looks of it here today, they will not win either game against Lane. With the men coming up next, they are still striving to make a postseason push they find themselves in that final spot in the South region. So it'll start by getting a big win against the Lane Titans in the game coming up shortly as they get set to tip off at 4 o'clock. As here's another three for the Titans. It's no good, but they get an offensive rebound, kick it back out now. Over to the top of the circle, back out right wing to the corner. Rebuttal three is off the iron, but tipped and into the hands of Johnson. Long pass across to Knutson, and she gets it inside now. Here's Mika two, no good. And now it's going to be handled by Lane, bringing it back up once again over to the right side. Moves it across, almost tipped by Knutson. Now gets it back out. Here's it to the wing. Now moves to the inside, puts up the shot, can't put it in, but a foul is called. And that will send Lonnie Dallin to the line to try to extend the Saints or the Lane lead, which is currently at 43. Hello, sir. You're on the mic. Welcome, Jake Rowe. As
Well,
so, do you have any fun memories from seeing a couple of the women's games this season?
absolutely. It was a great time this year. Not the way we wanted it to end, but still very enjoyable. And the young gals on the team, we're going to have a successful season next year, and the sophomores will have a great opportunity at 4 years going forward. I'm excited to see what they can do.
Was there any like specific game that kind of caught your attention? Set the tone for how you felt about this team this season.
Well, specifically, Kosmicki's 40-point game was pretty phenomenal. The double overtime winner was most entertaining game to watch all season.
Kind of transitioning forward, we got the men's game coming up next. They still have the chance to make that postseason push. It will be very beneficial to get a win against Lane today. Uh, after after what you've seen from them this season, what's the biggest key for them going into this matchup?
Well, tonight, they really need to bring the offense, and they need to stay consistent throughout the whole game. Their biggest problem was staying consistent throughout the whole game. The season, for most of the season, they finished the second half strong, and offensively and defensively. I think they need to bring the energy tonight. If they want to have any shot of winning this game, they need to treat it like it's their last game for sure.
Are you excited for the potential postseason scenario and some big key matchups, not just in our region but in other regions too? So it'll be a very interesting postseason, and I'll have to let you know where everything stands after today's games.
Of course, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I would love to see another game, be able to call another game with you. And I'm very upset that I'm not able to be there for the women's game, but if we had an opportunity to call a playoff game virtually or in person, that would be absolutely awesome. And I'd love to get to see them ball out one more time.
Well, we'll have to see where that takes us. Do you have any final, as we wind down the final 3 minutes here in the women's game? Mount Hood down by 42 points. So kind of a, not the way that they really want to finish their last game, but any
Yeah, no, the final thoughts are absolutely not the way we wanted to end it, but I know that it was a real pleasure to watch them play this season, and just want the girls to know that they did a great job, and I really enjoyed watching them. It was a pleasure to call their games.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So are you still out of town? So when do you get back? Oh, nice. Well, I probably won't talk to you again until later next week. So happy birthday! I want to get that out of the way. I'm. What do you mean? Well, I didn't know when you were coming back. I was waiting for you to say that. Hey, thanks for thanks for your quick time. I was really struggling to find time to be able to get time. No, I'm just. This is live. It's up on the YouTube page, and I'm just. It's not. I'm not like doing. I'm kind of fading in and out doing play by play, but more or less. I took you off, but I can put you back. I can put you back. I can put you back on if you have more to say. Hopefully. Oh, that's another good question. Hold on, I'm gonna put it back on. So actually, bonus question for Mr. Jake Rowe here, as we thank him for his time. Some of these ladies that are on the basketball team, also on the softball team, and you'll be hearing more of us with those casts. And what are you looking forward to most about the spring season?
I'm just looking forward to being around the team or a team environment again. I really just enjoy watching them play, and also spring hopefully will bring some nice weather for us to watch. And there's nothing like watching a softball game during the springtime.
I will be checking out on their scores, but they started out with a sweep against Olympic back in late February. They swept uh, Blue Mountain yesterday, so they currently sit 4-0, still undefeated, 2022 champions. They have two pivotal games today and tomorrow. We'll see if they can stay unbeaten, but they play some tough games. Knowing what I mean, you really haven't seen them much or season because the season's just beginning. But what is something that you can expect from this team going forward?
Well, I would expect continuing to keep playing well and winning games. From what I can tell, they're a pretty good squad, and I think they're all very close on campus. So hopefully, they can keep the chemistry up throughout the season.
What's your favorite part about the game of softball?
I like the underhand pitch. That's my favorite part. I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't know much about softball. I like the home runs. I like the home runs. All about the big shots.
Well, it's all about the journey, so we'll have to get some softball games together. So I'm looking forward to doing those with you, my man.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait.
So the game here between Mount Hood and Lane has officially ended. The women's game is over, and the Lane Titans cruise to a dominating win. But nonetheless, Mount Hood has a very good. They had not a good season, but not a bad season, kind of in between. They suffer a 95-44 loss to end the season against the Lane Titans, ending with an overall record of 9-17 and 4-12 in conference play. They end with a 4-game losing streak, but that's just something for at least the freshmen to take into next season, right, Jake?
Absolutely, and I mean, I've had plenty of seasons where I've haven't gone south and not where I want them to go. And always taking a big loss to end this season only motivates you more for next season. So I'm expecting the next team to come back even stronger next year.
As I said, they don't really reach the playoffs, but that's just motivation going forward next season. And we can probably expect for Coach Alex Brown to find some good new recruits, for this team to be very good, and for them to make a potential run next year. And it's going to be really interesting. I don't know, because I don't know if I'll be back, but it'll be something that I'll definitely be tuning in for.
Absolutely, and community college is quick turnarounds. Players coming in and out. Every year is going to be a lot different, so it's hard to predict, but we will definitely see a whole nother team next year for
sure. Now that we are looking at the men warming up here for their game, once again, they still have the chance to make the postseason. They sit at that 4th spot. The biggest thing for them is to get the win against the Titans here, which they did at home on January 21st. They're going for the sweep, but as we know, when you're playing for a sweep, it's a little bit tougher. So what can we expect from this matchup?
Yeah, they're just gonna have to play strong and consistent. A lot of offense and a lot of defense. Mount Hood hasn't been able to win a whole lot of games by just doing one thing. They need to kind of be on every aspect of the game, and they've been doing a better job of that throughout the season. So hopefully that's what they can do tonight. They cannot let their foot off the gas pedal. They have to play it like it's their last game.
All right. Well, once again, the women suffer defeat once again. They get swept by the Lane Titans this season. We will have the men's game kind of going forward and just checking in on the scores from around the league. We'll review the scores from the women's games from this Saturday afternoon, and we will look at the updated playoff picture now that all the games have ended on the women's side. Thank you, Jake. It was a pleasure this season, and hopefully, let's get softball season going.
Awesome. We'll see you soon.
The biggest thing for the men is we thank Mr. Jake Rowe for his time being my main analyst for the season, and you can expect to hear more of us for softball. But wrapping up the basketball season here, biggest thing for the men's team, they have won their last 4 straight, going for their 5th consecutive win. They had a 93-90 win against the Titans on January 21st back in Gresham. So they're going for the season sweep. They sit at the 4th spot, trailing only behind Clackamas, Lynn Benton, and Southwest Oregon, all of which they were swept by Southwest Oregon, but they split the season against Clackamas, and they split the season against Lynn Benton. And just going back to make sure that I have the sweep against Southwest Oregon right, because I know they lost at home, but I don't remember what the score was for that game against the Lakers in Coos Bay. So take a look at that just before we get set here for the men's game. And we're going to keep this on one continuous stream. So looking at that, they actually did win at Southwest Oregon. So a correction, the 3 teams that sit ahead of them in the postseason race, they all split. So Clackamas, Lynn Benton, and Southwest Oregon currently sit atop 3 the men's division in the South. But looking at the current scores, Southwest Oregon once again plays PCC, so that could be a very pivotal game for the Saints. The Clackamas Cougars do not have a game today, or they do have a game today. They are playing against Chemeketa. And once again, Umpqua is playing against Clark. As we kind of take a look again at the women's side, as almost all the games have gone final. Umpqua defeats Clark by a final of 92-64, but that does not matter for either team, as both of them are out of the playoff race. Umpqua is in, likely at the 3 seed behind Lane and Clackamas, and Lane, with the win today against Mount Hood, wins the region, I believe, as we look to see this updated. Let's see if nothing is updated as of yet, but hopefully it will be updated kind of before the men's game comes down to the wire, and then we can kind of scout through and look at the matchups on the women's side and kind of get a feel for how the men's side is going to go. Once again, Mount Hood loses to Lane. They get swept for the season, and the Titans will end with a record of 28-1. 15-1 in conference play. The Saints go to 4-12 in conference play, 9-17 overall. The Clark Penguins go to 10-17 with that loss against the Umpqua Riverhawks, but it doesn't matter because are still out of the postseason race as well. So it looks like your top four in the South region, at least, are going to be Lane, Clackamas, Umpqua, and Lynn Benton. All right, the men's game is coming up next, so we're going to get set up for that and be back for that one once it begins. Once again, thank you to Jake Rowe for taking a couple of minutes to talking to me. Really helps fill the time. Again, this is more of just looking at the playoff scenarios and kind of wrapping up the season. And one final message that I have for the women's team is just thank you for letting me watch all your games this season. It was a pleasure to be able to broadcast all the home games with the exception of the one against Lane when we were first trying to get things started. But since then, we have broadcasted every home game, and we hope to be successful, just as successful for softball season. So, once again, the Lane Titans defeat the Mount Hood Saints by a final of 95-44, with the men's game coming up next. So now as we get the men's game going, looks like the Saints and the Titans starting off very competitive there as Wilson puts down the 2 there and getting things started. I'm sorry, no, that is not Wilson. That was Hampton. It's hard to tell when you're looking this far, but here come the Titans now in the first minute of this game, and there's a backdoor layup to tie things at 2. So now here is Cam Vaughn, and Vaughn gets it over to Wilson. Wilson now looks, moves inside, gets it to Fowler, who finishes it with 1. Nick Fowler to the line as we'll pull up the both the men's and the women's status here in just a moment. Once again, for those of you that might be just joining us here with you in this live stream, going to be going in and out just because it's not mainly going to be focused on the play-by-play element. I had my main analyst Jake Rowe on earlier. That was the only time he was able to stop by, and we want to thank him for his time. And there's a 3, no good for the Titans. So it's going to be a little mix. So it's going to be a little commentary when I notice something, but kind of more discussion about the season and how the playoff format is going to work out, and where everyone stands in the conferences. There's a nice block there for the Titans as the Saints lead at 5-2, and there's a foul against Gabe Sorensen. No, it's actually a turnover, and it's going to get possession back to the Saints. So leading here early with just about 18 and a half minutes to go in the first half. As now Wilson has it on the left, guarded by 2 Lane Titans. Now gets it back out over to Vaughn. Vaughn moves to the inside, puts up the shot, can't put it in, and the rebound is taken away by Lane. And here they come moving from right to left as that one's put up. No good, but a foul's called on the floor against the Saints. So on the women's side, PCC beat Southwest Oregon 61-51. That was the only game that was still in action. Here's a 3 Fowler, no good. Rebounded by Robinson. He can't, or that's Sorensen. He can't put it in. And possession goes back to Lane. Tied at 7 with 16 and a half minutes remaining. There you see Coach Lewell walking up and down the sideline. There's a nice bucket there to put Lane in front for the first time in this game. One from Wilson that wouldn't go. Three Wilson. No. And here comes Lane once again. So the Saints find themselves down by 4 with about 15 minutes to go. Is now driving in as Hampton. He puts it in. So nice there from Hampton to make this a 2-point game, 11-9 in the first 5 minutes. Now dribbling inside, and there's a nice up and in for the Saints. We've not had any updates yet on the women's side of things. So we will go ahead and just check on the men, just kind of looking at where everyone stands and scores from around the league. So now we have a timeout here with 14:44 to go. And Lane leading 13-9. So now checking in on the standings on the men's side, starting with the North region. Every single region has had a champion clinch. So in the North, you have Champion Peninsula, followed by Everett, Edmonds, and Bellevue. In the East, you have the champion North Idaho, who I believe is the previous champion from the finals. They are still undefeated, 28-0, 16-0 in conference play, followed by Walla Walla, Spokane, and Columbia Basin. As for the West, you have Lower Columbia, who has clinched their region, followed by Green River, Tacoma, and Puget Sound. And that is followed by the South. Clackamas and Len Benton have already clinched playoff spots, but nobody else in the South has clinched, and only 14 teams of the 16 have clinched a postseason berth. And the only two wildcard spots up for grabs again are on the South side, as Mount Hood and Southwest Oregon are in those 3 and 4 spots as of right now. Even if Mount Hood were to lose this game, it is not necessarily bad for them, especially if Southwest Oregon were to lose their game as well, and Umpqua would lose their game against the Clark Penguins, but I would assume that is not likely. As we check in now, Umpqua already leads Clark 13-6. Chemeketa leads Clackamas 5-2, and the Southwest Oregon and PCC game has not gotten underway yet. And there's a nice finish there to put the Saints back to within 2, 15-13, with 13 and a half minutes to go. airball the three right there. As here's Wilson for the Saints, brings it up. Wilson to the inside, gets it back out now. Here's Stevens. Stevens backs up, now gets it inside now. Here's Fowler. Fowler spinning, tries to put up a shot and does. Can't put it in, and the rebound is to Lane. So with 12 minutes to go, it's a 6-point lead for the Titans as they find themselves up 19-13 in a very pivotal game for the Saints. Definitely does not hurt to win this game, but also might hurt if they lose this game, especially if a lot of the other games today kind of don't turn out in their favor. And how about that from Wilson? And he is going to be fouled as well. And to the line he goes. Chance for a 3-point play for Will Wilson, who is still an 87% free throw shooter. He only missed one free throw in the game yesterday against Umpqua, as he will try to put the Saints back to within a 3-point game, and it is good. So Wilson converts on the 3-point play, and it's a 3-point game, 19-16 with 11.5 to go here in the first half. And here are the Titans. The ball was lost, but gathered back for a second, got it back up, and that one off no good. Offensive rebound and a foul against Mount Hood. The assistant coach there, Handy Dowd, will throw the ball back to the official, and we'll get some free throws now for the Lane Titans, who lead by 3. Getting some substitutions now for the Saints, as it looks like Cam Bond, Nick Fowler checking back into the game. Wilson and Barber going to be going out. And I don't believe we have any substitutions on the Lanes side. Just under 8 minutes to go here in the first half. Mount Hood leading Lane 24-20. Just trying to hang on to this lead and do a little bit of scoreboard watching on their part to get into the postseason. Is now Robinson going to take a three? It's an air ball, no good, off the backboard. Well, I guess not an air ball then. So here come the Titans back out to the left side, gets it back across now to the left corner, looks again and moves to the inside. Now got a poke checked away, but a foul is going to be called against Robinson. So it'll be an inbound for Lane from underneath the basket. Gets it in to the free throw line to underneath. Kicks it back out now to the right wing, over to the top of the circle. Now back out to that right side. Moving, got it back. This is a three on the way. It's good. Big three there for the Titans. It's a 1 point game. Timeout on the floor. Quick timeout now as the Saints bring the ball back up from left to right. Here's Vaughn, gets it over to Robinson, gets it back now. And moving inside the lane, now got it back out. Vaughn a three to rebut, and it's good. Cam Bond with yet another three. How about that one? No good on the two, but he was fouled. And he will head to the line as that was Hampton, who I couldn't name. So we have a timeout on the floor with 4 3/4 minutes to go. Mount Hood still with a 1 point lead, 27-26. Women's team is over across the way there on the bench, sitting on the A of lane as they fell in their game earlier today. Just rooting on for the men to see if they can try to get into the postseason. Which will begin on Wednesday for the women and will begin on Friday for the men. Up in Pasco, and now an inbound pass collected, and that one goes back to the Titans. Here's a breakaway, and that one is good. Maybe. Hard to tell with the camera. The Clark Penguins are hanging in with the Umpqua Riverhawks 34-30. The current score with 4:04 remaining in the first half. Other scores from the men's game include PCC leading Southwest Oregon 10-9. That one's still early in the first half. Still 15 minutes left in that one. And with just about 3 minutes to go in Clackamas, it is Chemeketa with a 28-26 lead against the Cougars. It's a little bit of scoreboard watching here as we wind down in the first half of this game between the Saints and the Titans. Currently tied at 28 with 4.5 minutes to go. It is lane basketball as they bring it up the floor. Gets it across now to that right side. Looking to the inside. Now gets it back out. Here's a three on its way. It's good. Lane back in front. 31-28 with a three ball there. Here's Wilson. Wilson drives to the inside. Puts it up. No good. And out of play. Possession back to the Saints. So Hampton to inbound. Looks for somebody, floats it in into Vaughn. Vaughn moves inside, puts up the shot, no good, and Wilson is there to finish it. So a nice save from Wilson. It's a 1-point game, 31-30 as we dip under 4 minutes. Here come the Titans. Gets it back over to that right side, over to the corner, loses it, but gets it back. Guarded now by Sorensen. He's going to spin. He's going to float it back out. Here's another three on the way. It's off the iron. No good. Rebounded by Wilson. So here come the Saints down 1. 3.5 minutes remaining. Opening half. Wilson moves to the right side. Now gets to the inside. Floats a long pass out. Sorensen tipped into the hands of Lane. So here they come now. Now spinning. Got it back out. Over on that right. Moves to the top of the circle, gets it back. Moves once again, hands it off, gets it back over, moving inside, lost it, got it back, banks it off, no good. Rebound is there. It's in with a foul and a chance for a 3-point play to put Lane up by 4. Under 90 seconds to go now. Here's a 2. That one's good. Lane back up 3. So here's Wilson crossing. Now moving inside, floats it back out. Pass was tipped. Now on a breakaway for Lane. Turns into 2. Back inside now with a nice finish from Vaughn to put it back to within 3 with under a minute to go. Women getting ecstatic over on the bench there as they're cheering on the men's team. Gets it back. Here's a 2. It's good. 5-point lead once again for Lane. Timeout, Mount Hood. Lane can hold for the final shot here as we're down to 12 seconds. They lead 41-36. 8 seconds and 7. Down to 6. Now to 5. Inside up. No good, but a foul against Mount Hood with 4 seconds to go. And here come the Saints with 1 second. Wilson at the buzzer. Missed it. And we have reached halftime in the men's game. Lane with a 41-36 lead against Mount Hood. We'll be back for the second half in 15 minutes as we continue to scoreboard watch and wind down the regular season. So now, as we get the second half underway, the final half for the men this season, and that one's going to be recollected by Sorensen in the backcourt as he gets it over now to Hampton, who's going to take a three. It's no good. And here comes Lane the other way, maintaining that 5-point lead. Throws it across now, gets it back. Now moves over to the right side. Now crossing from other ends of the court. Here come the Titans. Looking to extend their lead, moves inside, puts up the two, can't put it in, and the rebound is there, but possession goes to Mount Hood. So here come the Saints, admitted into this second half as Fowler gets it from Vaughn, gets it over to Hampton. Gets it back across to Vaughn inside Fowler. Fowler going to spin, float it up, and off the iron. No, and going to be taken away for Lane. Nobody has scored here in the second half as that one off no good. Rebound Fowler gets it to Wilson. And now Wilson going to take a three off the front iron. No. And here come the Titans once more as we've played 90 seconds and still our same halftime score. Lane coach motioning his team to go forward as the Titans make a move here on offense. Gets it underneath, puts up the shot, and it's in. And Lane leads by 7. So here come the Saints once again as Hampton brings it up the floor. Looks for somebody to get it to, gets it over now to Vaughn. Vaughn now back out, moves inside, spinning, puts the shot up. It's no good, and the rebound is to Lane. So Mount Hood still has not scored here in the second half. Here's a wide open three. He faked him out, puts up the shot, and in. And it's a 9-point Lane lead with a 4-0 run to start the second half. Saints have to get back into it here as Hampton dribbles it up, now moves in and puts up the shot. It's no good. And no foul call there. The Titans are going to have it inside, and that one's good, and they lead by 11. So now a 6-0 run by the Titans to start the second half. Causes the Saints to call a timeout with 17:20 to go in the game. So, still no update on the women's side of the bracket. It has not been set yet. We're not sure what the matchups are quite yet. We can kind of get a feel of an idea of who is going to play who based on the results from today, but we can give you some updates in scoring on the men's side, starting with the Southwest Oregon Lakers, who have retaken a lead over the PCC Panthers 42-35 with time winding down in the first half. And Umpqua holds a 5-point lead against Clark, currently 55-50 with 15 minutes remaining. And the Clackamas Cougars have a 40-34 lead against Chemeketa with just under 17 minutes remaining in that game. Once again, Mount Hood and Southwest Oregon at the number 3 and 4 spots. Mount Hood at 4, Southwest Oregon at 3. Umpqua and Clackamas round out the top 2. But if we look at other teams in the region, just behind, I'm sorry, Clackamas and Lynn Benton, Umpqua is just behind Mount Hood. So if Umpqua goes on to win their game and Mount Hood ends up losing this game, they will be tied, and that will potentially set up a win and in situation rematch for the two teams in Gresham. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here as the final halves wind down. And for any further updates on when games are going to be or who's going to play who, you can always check the my Instagram feed at HamPDX, because I will repost when all is set and done. And hopefully we have another game for Mount Hood as Wilson makes both free throws. And it's a 10-point game, 49-39, 15:55 to go. Here come the Titans. Got their roster in front of me, so now I can look to see who is going to inbound it. And it looks like it's going to be Habert. And Habert will inbound a long one across to the right corner, as that one now going to be taken by San Germiento. Here's a 3. It's no good. Rebound is offensive. Kicked back out. Lane with a fresh 20. Here's another 3 on the way. Off, no good. And Wilson grabs the rebound. We got a jump ball. Possession is going to favor the Titans, I believe. It does indeed favor Lane. Now it is Boudet as he moves inside, kicks it out. Here's a wide open 3. No, and that's a foul. So currently, with 12 minutes remaining, Lane finds themselves up 15 or 14 points. It is 57 to 43 as they will now inbound it. Here is Blackmore. Gets it across now to the right side. Here's a three on its way. It's good. Now here come the Saints back again as Robinson. Gets it over to Hampton. Hampton, now he's going to take a rebuttal three, and he missed it out the front of the iron. No good. And the Titans with the rebound and inside the lane now gets it back out, over across, back to the corner. And that is going to be now Blackmore again. As now they cross it over to the left side. Gets it across now. Corner three on the way. No good. Offensive rebound keeps it alive, though, for the Titans. Blackmore's got it. Gets it across. Here's another chance at a three, and that one hits the front of the iron. No good. Rebounded by Robinson. Over now to Vaughn. Vaughn inside. Puts it up and in. Here come the Titans once again. Blackmore at the top of the circle. Gets it across to Foreman. Now to the corner. Thought about a three. Now moves inside up to the basket and in. $17-point lead now for the Titans, 62 to 45, with 10.5 minutes remaining in half number two. Once again, we check in with the scores from around the conference. As Lane now gets the ball back. We have a whistle and I believe a foul on the floor. So here come the Saints once again as Hampton brings it up. Gets it over now to Vaughn. Vaughn inside. And he puts it no good. And the rebound is going to be taken. And it's going to be Lane basketball. 62-45, 10:04 to go. Umpqua leads Clark 80 to 69 with 8.5 minutes remaining. Southwest Oregon leads PCC 42-35 as the second half in that one just getting underway. And Clackamas leads Chemeketa 63 to 47 with 9 minutes remaining in that one. Again, Umpqua sitting right behind Mount Hood in the standings. So if Umpqua wins and Mount Hood loses, they will end with the same record. And it will likely turn into a rematch from yesterday's game between the Riverhawks and the Saints for a chance at that final wild card spot. As if Southwest Oregon holds on and beats PCC, they shall clinch the third seed, and that fourth spot is still going to be up for grabs. As we were told yesterday, there would be a chance Mount Hood would host a playoff game, and that could be that rematch against Umpqua. So that is really, really interesting to see how the rest of this game plays out. But Mount Hood still has just about 10 minutes remaining to come back in this game and get a win, which would likely get them into the postseason no matter what. Will Wilson makes both free throws there. Mount Hood back to within 15, 62-47, 9 3/4 minutes to go. So here comes Lane. Inside, 2-pointer up is good, and they're back up 17. 64-47. Here's Wilson. Moves over to the left side now. Looks to get it to somebody. Gets it over to Robinson for three. Off the iron, no. Rebound. Barber's got it. Inside, Vaughn. Can't put it down. And Lane has it. Here is a alley-oop to put Lane up by 19. And now a possession lost and possession to Lane. So that rematch between Umpqua and Mount Hood would be interesting, and I don't exactly know when it is. I don't know if it's tomorrow or if it's on Monday. I believe it's Monday because they have until Friday for the postseason to start. Here's a three on the left side, no good, and Lane's got the rebound. But all that depends on what happens in the games today, and we will be checking back with the situation that occurs because of the result in this game and others from around the league today. But Lane has a steady lead here with 8.5 to go. Inside two, no good. Rebound is put in. Lane has been able to convert on all their drives thus far in the past couple of minutes. Wilson got it over to Vaughn now. Vaughn gets it inside to Barber, gets it back over to Vaughn, who moves to the inside, puts it up and in, but a charge is called, and possession will go to Lane. So I take that back. Actually, they waived the charge. It is a foul against Lane. So count the bucket. It's a 21-point game, 68-47 with 8:18 to go. And here's Vaughn at the line. 68-49 now as they just added on that bucket from Vaughn. So 19 points. So Vaughn a chance to convert on the 3-point play. And he does not, as he missed it off the back iron, but he's going to get a second chance. And that one he hits. 68-50, approaching 8 minutes to play here in Eugene. Here come the Titans. And now we got a whistle and another foul on the floor. It is a technical foul against Mount Hood. So Lane got free throws and possession. As now they will inbound it from the near side on the right side near the Lane announcers. Gets it in now. Here's Blackmore. Blackmore spins, gets it inside, puts up the 2, no good, but a foul is called. And free throws coming for Lane. And it will be Davian Hilton to shoot the free throws. Timeout on the floor, 7:57 to go, 69-50 in favor of the Titans. Once again, in the South region, Clackamas leads the way. They are 20-8 overall, 12-3 in conference play. Lynn Benton second. Southwest Oregon follows them at just a game back. So you could potentially have another game between Southwest Oregon and Lynn Benton if Southwest Oregon hangs on to win their game. They have not finished their game yet, but they are in the lead against PCC. As for Mount Hood, if they end up falling in this game and they're down by 21 once again with 7:50 to go, they could potentially have that rematch set up with Umpqua, who is winning their game, and they would have the same overall and conference records. So really interesting. I'm sorry, they would not have the same overall record. They would have the same conference record, which would set up that interesting rematch between the two teams. And PCC is right behind them. But if Southwest Oregon were to win that game, that means PCC would lose anyway. So that would not mean anything for the Panthers, as they are likely out of playoff contention. But win or lose this game, the Saints still have an opportunity. Here's a nice rebound pass that's in for Lane. They lead by 23, 7:10 to go. And that one is put in by Sorensen. Here come the Titans back outside. Gets it back to Blackmore. Blackmore waiting. Now moves over to that right side. Gets it back. Now inside. Puts it up. No good. Rebound offensive. And that one is going to be a foul against Robinson. And he will check out of the game. Nick Fowler comes back in. $73-52 now as the Lane lead with 6.5 minutes to go. Missed the free throw. Rebound is collected by the Saints. Here they come, starting a late rush here. Hampton gets it to Sorensen. Back over to Hampton. Hampton moves to the inside, gets it back out. Fowler, he's going to take a three. It's off the iron, no good. Offensive rebound. Wilson has it. Wilson to the inside, up and no good. Fowler has it, but it's tipped into the hands, and Lane's got it with a foul on the floor. And I believe the foul is going to go against Nick Fowler. So, Jake Rowe, if you're listening, it's a foul or foul. Free throw up for the Titans, as that one is going to be attempted by Manero, or I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that last name. He makes them both, so it's 75-52 now, 23-point lead for Lane, 6 minutes to go. Here is Hampton on the left wing, gets it over now to Wilson. Wilson dribbles it to the inside, now is pressured, gets it back out. Hampton inside, now floats it up, and he floats it in. Nice finish there from Hampton. Here comes Lane. Still up by 21 with 5.5 to go. Looking to split the season here against Mount Hood. That one no good. Rebound Wilson. He's got it. He's going to take it himself, and he almost finishes, but he can't put it in. Here comes Lane. That one up and good. So now here's the inbound to Hampton. Gets it back across now. Here's Fowler. Gets it back over to Vaughn. Over to Sorensen. Back now Hampton. Hampton backs up. Now moves in. Floats it up. No good, but a foul is going to be called, and he's going to go to the line. With 5 minutes remaining here in this game, I would just like to say that any further information that develops towards the postseason for both the men and the women, I will have posted on my Instagram story or feed. You can follow me at ham_PDX. That's HAM_PDX. I will have the latest updates for both the men and the women, even though the women's season for Mount Hood did come to an end today with a defeat and a sweep against Lane. But the Lane Titans, an interesting team to watch for in the playoffs, only suffering one loss this season. So it'll be interesting to see them play out of region. So I'm looking forward to both the men and the women's postseason. And we'll see if we get that rematch between Mount Hood and Umpqua, if they can hold on and win their game against the Clark Penguins. And if Lane holds on to win this game, we should get that rematch. And another notable game is Southwest Oregon. Likely, if Southwest Oregon wins their game, they would be tied with conference record. So we could potentially have two big pre-playoff games before the playoffs begin for the men on Friday. Also, any further information can be found on the Northwest Athletic Conference website. That is nwacsports.com. And you can find any information about all teams and postseason and standings and anything you want to find on the website. That's what I've been using, but it hasn't been updating that much, so I don't know what we're going to get for the women's playoff. Nothing has been finalized yet, but once again, once everything is finalized and I have that information, I will relay it to you via my Instagram. I would just like to take this time to thank everybody for tuning in to this little different of a virtual broadcast. I mean, I was still going to incorporate some play by play into it, but it was going to be mainly more focused on scoreboard watching and like playoff scenarios and, getting all the information relayed to you. And I know that you probably can't see my screen as well as I can right now. Will Wilson does make both of those free throws. It's 77-57, a 20-point game, 4 3/4 minutes to go. It does seem like Lane is going to hold on and win this game against Mount Hood, meaning that Lane is going to improve record wise as they sit bottom of the conference just ahead of Clark. They will likely go to 5-11 in conference play, 10-18 overall. Does not really mean anything for them playoff wise, but they are just playing spoiler for Mount Hood, who will now likely have to play an additional game. And it's also just a win for Lane on sophomore night. I mean, just their final win or their final home game. They get the win, both the men and the women. The women gonna make the postseason, sitting atop the women's division in the South, and the men not so well. But I assume that they're gonna cheer on their ladies just as well as for Mount Hood. The ladies are cheering on the men here in this building and probably in the postseason as well, as that is going to be a goaltend against Mount Hood. It is going to give the 2 point bucket to Lane, 81-57 now, with 4:20 to go in regulation. Mount Hood will drop to 9-7, 10-16 overall. And with Umpqua's win, if they can hold on, they will also go to 9-7. They will, though, be 17-11 overall, but they go by conference record. They don't really count the beginning of the season overall record. They go by conference play, which did not start until January 4th. And for Mount Hood, it began with a loss against Len Benton, and it will end likely with a loss against Lane. So the Lane Titans have an 81-59 lead here with 3 minutes and 48 seconds to go in the second half. Coach Sewell does not seem so upset. He is probably going to be disappointed with the loss today, but knowing that his team is still in playoff contention, he was telling me earlier in the week that it's just about effort. So, you know, I'm not saying that it wasn't their best effort tonight. Lane just put on a performance for their fans on sophomore night, but it's going to take that extra effort in the qualification game in order to try to make it to Pasco. And this team all season has just performed very well, and I really like their chances in any qualification game that they might have. Again, likely going to be that game against Umpqua, possibly with the same record. They beat Umpqua yesterday. 84-77 was the final score. I really liked the flow of that game. It was really competitive. It was really close. So if they get a rematch with that Umpqua team, that is a game that I'm really looking forward to seeing again. So now as Lane gets it back, drives it in, no good, kicked it back out. Here come the Saints. Vaughn all alone. He's going to lay it in. So with just 3.5 minutes to go here before this game comes to an end, Mount Hood will make their way back up to Gresham after suffering 2 losses in Eugene against the Titans. The women get swept. The men split the series. Now with 3 minutes remaining, just counting down these final moments. Looking forward to being able to broadcast another Saints game, hopefully with that rematch they will get just before the postseason. We will have further information on that game as well. I will post that on my social media. And you can also follow men's basketball. That is at Mount Hood men's basketball. So at Mount Hood MB. And that three is hit to give the Saints a little bit of spark here with 2.5 minutes to go. It's a 15-point game, 81-66, 2:22 to go. You can follow Coach Alex Lewell Sim also at Coach Lewell. I believe it is Coach underscore Lewell. And I'm sure that the women's team will also relay any information about the men's team. You can follow them also at Mount Hood Women's Basketball. That is Mount Hood WBB. We will also have stuff on the advocate page at MHCC Advocate. So now with the final 2.25 minutes, 83-66 in favor of Lane. Here's a three from Sorensen. It bounces off, no good. Titans are just going to try to melt this clock. Couple more possessions, and then this game will be over as the Titans have split the series with the Saints. 93-90 was the final back in Gresham on January 21st. It was a very competitive, close game. It was Coach Lewell's first win in conference, their first win in conference as well, as Wilson puts that one up and in. Inbound now for Lane as they try to melt this final 95 seconds. Gets it across now. Back to the logo. To the inside now. And we got a whistle. Free throws up now. Free throws up now. First one was good. First one was good. And so was the second one. And so was the second one. Here's a three from Wilson. No good, but we got another whistle. From Wilson, no good, but we got another whistle. So it'll be Fowler at the line to shoot some free throws with 1:18 to go. Fowler at the line to shoot some free throws with 1:18 to go. Fowler at the line to shoot some free throws with 1:18 to go. And he makes the first. And he makes the first. So 78 seconds remaining, 85-69 in favor of Lane. Once again, we will check in on the other scores from around the men's games today. As we get a refresh here. It's a quick steal, turns into a turnover. And now a timeout with 64 seconds to go. Lane leading 85-72. It's within 13, so nothing's over yet. So we have some finals. Umpqua did, in fact, beat Clark 103-85. Clackamas beat Chemeketa 81-68. It's a close one between Southwest Oregon and PCC. Currently, the Lakers hold a 63-55 lead, but there's still 7 minutes to go. So 2 games gone final, one about to, and the other one with 7 minutes remaining. The Saints maybe try to get some little bit of closure here, down 13 with 1:04 to go. Inbound pass comes in for the Titans as we approach a minute. And a foul with exactly 1 minute remaining in the game. Inbound now. Here's Wilson. Wilson drives it to the inside, tries to put it up, but he gets fouled. So it'll be another inbound for the Saints. Hampton will inbound it from underneath the basket. Floats it in now. Here's Wilson. Wilson now gets it across. Here's Fowler. Gets it back over to Wilson. He's going to take a 3, and he hits it. Wow. Wilson strikes late. Now a foul with 44 seconds remaining. Nothing out of the question yet for the Saints. Here's Hampton, gets it across. Wilson back. Here's a 3. Sorensen. It's good. So now it's a 7-point game with 25 seconds to go. Gets it back. It's intercepted. Here come the Saints. 3 from Hampton. It's good at 1. 19 seconds to go. It's a 4-point game. Quick inbound now handled. They got to get a foul here. Is that one going to be poke checked? And that one is going to be saved. And now they got to do something. They got to foul. There's 8 seconds to go. And now they do foul with 7.4. I think they took too much time out of that as they tried to play too aggressive defense, tried to steal the ball. But they've come back from a 20-point deficit to make it within 4. So you can't count them out just yet, not until that buzzer hits 0. So now free throws for the Titans. It'll be Hinton to shoot. I believe it's a 2-shot foul. First one on the way is good. So that puts the lead up to 5. Here's the second one to make it 6, and it is off the iron. No. Rebound quickly, down to 5 seconds. Gets it back. Here's a quick 3. It is banked off, no good, and that is just going to do it. So the Lane Titans survive. They hold on. They win at 86-81. So Mount Hood indeed does drop this one. They will go to 9-7. Lane will go to 5-11. That is conference record, and that will set up a nice rematch for the Saints and the Riverhawks. Wow, very, very close. Just the Saints. It was that one drive by the Titans. The Saints just tried to get the ball. They wasted too much time, I believe, and that's what allowed the Lane Titans to survive and hold on to this 5-point win. A pivotal win for the Titans. They get it on sophomore night, and they spoil the season finale for the Saints, as now the Saints will likely play one more to try to make it into the postseason. But nonetheless, that makes it very interesting for me as I get to see one more Saints game this season. I want to thank everyone that tuned in to this live stream. It was a little bit of a different virtual environment tonight, but I still wanted to bring something to you guys to discuss the postseason scenarios and everything that was going on with both the men and the women's basketball teams. Unfortunately for the women, their season does come to a close tonight. I just want to thank them for allowing me to be a part of their season, for being at their home games. I want to thank the players that spoke to me during interviews, and Coach Alex Brown. He also spoke to me during an interview. So I just want to say thank you to the women's team and to the men's team. I hope I'm not done with you guys. Hopefully that we get another game together. But if this is the end, that I will not see you guys once more for a game. I just want to thank you guys as well for allowing me to be a part of your season. So once again, I just want to thank everyone that is giving me a chance here. And I just want to thank my buddy Jake Rowe, who has sat in as an analyst. I want to thank Cody Runsville, who was my analyst yesterday. Hopefully, maybe if we get the home game against Umpqua, Cody Runsville will join me for that one, as Jake Rowe is still out of town. But thank you to JD Kiggins for supplying me with all the equipment and giving the support. Thank you to Athletic Director Kim Hyatt for allowing me to have my setup in the gym. Hopefully, it's one more. Just to everyone, I say thank you. And if we do have one more game, I will thank everyone once again in the final broadcast. But I just want to thank everyone tonight. Once again, 86-81 is the final score. Thank you for tuning in to this live stream. We will catch you down the road. Once again, check in with the current information on my Instagram page at HamPDX, and probably on the Mount Hood page as well. MHCC Advocate for the Advocate, Mount Hood MB for basketball, men's, Mount Hood WBB for women's basketball. Just check all the social medias; they will be there. Once again, I'm Jack Samlin from the comforts of my own bedroom. Good night.